right?
Lackluster.
Okay.
Everybody, welcome to Spill the Immunity. We're all freezing in our separate locations with lots of snow. We hope you had an enjoyable Thanksgiving holiday, and we are back at it, wrapping up the last few episodes of the season of 49. 49. What do we think, guys? How was this episode for you? Brandon, you had thoughts before we even get started. I'll let you go first.
Just let you guys know the behind the scenes of Spill the Immunity. You start. Don't try to come up with a great deep thought, or Bree will just hit the live button halfway through and just ruin all train of thought. I was talking about how this was kind of like the commercial episode. Hopefully that brings us into the third half. That's not a thing. Third part of the season.
Third quarter?
Yeah, third quarter, and hopefully a grand finale of a fourth quarter. I just didn't. There was not a whole lot to really go through. Alex, your thoughts so far?
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I agree. I didn't like the part of Sophie getting voted out. Yellow Sophie. I wanted her to win. I thought it made sense. You know, after like 10 minutes of the episode, I'm like, she's done. Like, this is over for her. It kind of made sense. You know, they're going to go to this 3-3 scenario. So it was kind of boring. You kind of knew she was going to go home. There wasn't enough like build up for like Savannah actually going home. So I kind of anticipated what was going to happen, which made kind of for a boring episode. But I will say, favorite challenge of the season, Steven running around that island. Like, that was so cool. Like, can we do more of that on Survivor? You're in the most beautiful place on earth. And they're like, complete the game of Operation. You know, like pick a ball out of you're like, okay, you have this beautiful environment. You could run around an island, race around an island, and you have people stack blocks. You know, it's like, I thought that was a refreshing Survivor, change of pace.
Yeah, it was. And the big old rocks they brought in for him to climb, like, what a budget. Like, oh my goodness. But it was so beautiful. I agree. I think they should do more physical challenge with a little bit of mental. They tried that with the whole MC, and I've already forgot his name.
They were running around the island trying to find. Yep. It was Marvel Universe.
See, it threw back to Natalie. Do you remember, was it Exile that she was on, or whatever island? And they had to run up and do things, and it was just exhausting, whether it was moving coconuts or whatever it was while they were on this other island. Yeah. And that kind of, I mean, it wasn't as brutal as that. I mean, Steven made it seem like it was the hardest adventure he'd ever been on in his entire life, which means he needs to get out more. But I liked the journey. I thought it was really cool. Yeah. I liked the advantage. I will say my perspective of this last episode is always a little skewed when I'm busy on a Wednesday night. So I had to do a presentation last night. So I caught the last 20 minutes last night live that I could watch, right? I caught the last 20 minutes.
Oh, you do like a little Star Wars version of Survivor. Look at you.
I picked up at the point where Sophie said, look at you guys coming back to camp all full. Okay, so they're coming back from that reward, right? So that's where I picked it up last night. And then watched the last little bit of it. So I knew what happened. And then this morning, I got up and I actually watched the whole beginning part. So it gave me a different perspective on the whole thing, because I said, how did we get to where we got to, where everyone was so unanimous together? And why would they do that? And then because I didn't know what Steven's advantage was. I didn't know anything about the journey. I didn't even see him win. I knew he had won, but I didn't know what that was all about. So going back, I watched the beginning this morning, the end last night. And then it started to make sense to me, because I think what Steven really acknowledged in this episode was, if he doesn't have to play that advantage at 6, it is tremendously powerful for him. Now, the problem is that Sophie knows he has it. Everybody knows he has an advantage. Sophie knows it's an advantage. But my question being, because he has to, before he gets to tribal, before he gets to tribal, he has to decide whose vote he is stealing or blocking. So if he's already done that and then she grabs the advantage, because there's a point where Jeff will say, I'm trying to play this through my head. He blocks the vote before he goes to tribal. They get to tribal, the person he's blocked goes up to vote, and they find out that they can't vote. Then they go back and sit down, and Jeff says, it's time to read the votes. If anyone has an idol or an advantage they want to play, now is the time to do so. And if she plays it and steals that advantage, he's already done the advantage. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, so the conversation that they're having with Rizzo was like, Steven, I know you have a steal a vote, which is more powerful than a block a vote because it not only allows you to take the person's vote, but you have an extra vote. But it's really a block a vote. So there's no extra votes in play. The situation that they're setting up for next tribal is like, you're going to have this face off, 3 people versus 3 people.
Mm-hmm.
And, how's that going to play out? And I don't know when Steven is going to play that. And then when you're right, Brie, it's like, when is Soph, I guess we just call her Sophie now because there's only one left. When is Sophie going to take that advantage? But if it was a steal a vote, then wouldn't she have to play it like at tribal before they voted? Because by that time, Steven would have already, so it would be actually before the end where he'd say, if you have an advantage, because the advantage would have already been played, I would assume.
Right. The advantage is he has to claim it before they get to tribal, and it would have blocked the votes when they went to vote.
Right. So I think that Sophie might I think that they will end up playing it off successfully. Or maybe what happens is it doesn't go successfully. Rizzo gets voted off, right? Or something like that. And then that's how, and then that person goes on an idle run and wins at the end, right? Versus those 3 people. And that's kind of how I see it. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if she's able to play it correctly. But I would imagine that they would think to play it like right when they sit down at tribal. I don't know if I've seen somebody play an advantage at camp and steal the idol at camp. Have you ever witnessed that they don't actually wait till tribal, or they do it well beforehand? And does it specify in that advantage? I know it says at camp, like you have to do it before tribal, but like anytime, you do it in the middle of the night. Can you do it?
You do it at the
production has to be around. That's the one caveat.
Well, can you do it at the challenge?
Can you do it at the challenge?
But now you're preparing them too, and so that's giving them a heads up that that's what you're doing, and so now they have to scramble, but they have time to scramble before.
I want to read her advantage. Like, when can she steal somebody's advantage?
I would think that
steal it at tribal. Can she steal it at any point?
See, this is the things that keep me up at night.
Right.
Or the dunes, but I would think that, I mean, regardless, do you guys see a need to perform a move like that doesn't happen in front of the jury? Like, does it lose its lackluster if it's not done in front of the jury?
It does.
So I would think that regardless of anything, that it would just not be as beneficial or exciting, or that wow factor, that pop that they're asking for. The jury is. So that to me would be the only thing that would be like, I need to wait until tribal council, regardless of what the rule is on this.
I think it's interesting. I'm just trying to think it all through.
I just want you to sleep better at night, Brie. I just want you to sleep better. That's it.
Yeah. And I do think we're going to see it come. It's going to be played the next episode, because we are at 6. We are at a tie. We are at that turning point in the game where things will go one way or another.
Yep.
And
so what's at play right now? We have a immunity idol, we have a block of vote, and we have the knowledge is power, right? We have 3 things that are out there. And do we have a chance right now of them finding a second idol, or
I would think so.
Like, is there an idol out there? I'm guessing still, because one's been played.
Have one of those tribals where it's like nobody can go home except one person.
Ooh, this good old Surrey factor.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting because, Sophie is aware, Sophie's kind of, what she said was, do I go with people that I don't trust or people that I do trust? She obviously trusts Rizzo and Savannah, but her game is inferior to hers. And so she needs to break. If either of those people go to the end with her, it's going to be very difficult for her to win. So she knows she has to get those people out. If she gets Savannah or Rizzo out next time, then maybe she could say, Christina and Steven and Sage, you guys have played too similar of games. Her kind of ideal and only pathway to win is to go with like a Christina and a Sage, and that's why I think, maybe they'll just vote off Steven next time. They'll go after Steven. And I think they were kind of alluding to that in the preview for the next episode. Like, they need to vote Steven off. He's so likable. He's such a challenge beast, type of stuff. So I think that Sophie will end up going with Savannah and Rizzo and just hoping that these final immunity challenges will play out with her favor. And maybe you see Rizzo and Savannah go to fire, against each other. That would be the epic conclusion of their relationship.
Well, let's take that for a spin right now. So are we right now, we're saying Christina has no shot, I think, correct? Is that where we're at with Christina?
Correct.
Okay.
Unless the jury wants to just vote because they like her.
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't think she's that likable.
Yeah. And for that reason, Christina needs to take out Stevens. There's reason for her to do it, but she also needs to take out everybody else in this game. Right. So I don't think that she has really a pathway. I think for Steven, yes, he's won. There's been 2 challenges, I think, and then as you said, I think he had another day and a half to find all those clues on that beach. He made it look so easy. But I think that even though this vote will destroy somebody's game, this block vote perhaps, I don't think it really helps his too much. I just don't see a Steven victory this season. I think he's been on the wrong side of some votes. He has made some strong alliances. I think he was a part of not only the up yours, the bottoms up alliance, but was he also with Christina and Alex when she found that vote that time was trustworthy. They also showed him with Savannah and her having that heart-to-heart conversation a couple episodes ago. So he may still have a shot. What do you guys think? Does Steven still have a shot?
And I think so. I mean, I don't know if he could go to the end with Rizzo and Savannah in window, just because he's been on the wrong side of the vote so much. They've been so clearly in control of the game, his alliances. So I just, and you heard Sage say in that episode, you just handed Savannah $1 million, to Sophie, a yellow Sophie who was voted off. Like, I can't believe you did that. So even though they may not like Savannah, they do see her as the winner, maybe even over Rizzo. For what reason, we don't really know. I mean, it's just maybe because she's seen as more of a target than Rizzo. She's more kind of vocal and more of the, so that was interesting to hear from Sage. And Sage, I mean, this episode was so should they have voted yellow Sophie off? Yeah. I mean, she's a threat. Is she more of a threat than Rizzo and Savannah? No. And Sage is like, I'm going to get revenge on yellow Sophie. I'm going to get revenge. Okay. Rizzo, Savannah, and blue Sophie also voted him out. So this is the constant thing. They're like, oh, this person screwed me over yesterday. I'm going to forget that I hate Savannah and she's been screwing me over this entire game. It's oh, well, she's playing defense. That person's your mortal enemy. You need to get them out. They're going to win $1 million, but you vote Sophie out because she got Juwan out. And Juwan's on, so they're just, I don't know.
There was a lot of reaction or interaction, I think, between Sage and Juwan during this episode, which really surprised me that they let that go on as much as it did, because Juwan was about it. Now, I want to talk about the one thing that I think people need to take into consideration here, people being the people that are left in the game, is you have to look at your jury, right? Because they're the ones that are actually doing the voting. So whether we see Savannah an easy winner or not, what does the jury think? And who stands the best chance with that jury? So I think Christina and Steven stand a great chance with that jury. To be honest with you, I think they have a much higher chance with that jury. Juwan has made a lot of, if you've paid attention, he's actually was very upset and call it white privilege or whatever you want. I didn't notice it. I didn't pay attention to it, but they knocked 4 black players off in a row.
MC alluded to that in her interview with either Michael Bloom or Rob on Rob has a podcast, and talked about how one of the things that she had to keep in mind was trying to not vote out Juwan at one point in time, because she saw that Marvel went to the jury first, and she was more gung-ho. She even said a little bit too much on once she saw season 42 or whatever it was, where there was like 4 or 5 that went out in a row, that did form in her mind. And I wonder how many players that really does it to, when you look over there and you notice that there is a commonality that's kind of a very hot topic in our society. So I don't know.
It's a hot topic, and I know, here's how I look at it. I look at it like they're going after targets. Their focus is on targets, but from where I sit and who I am, I didn't notice it until it was called out to me. And that's terrible, in my opinion, that I didn't notice that. I feel like, you know what I mean? Because
it's complicated, right?
It's complicated because you're doing what's best for your game in the moment, but I think that's because of where we sit, right? That's because of our point of view. And I think if you ask them their point of view, it comes into play for them, and we don't even pay attention to it. And that's horrible that we don't even notice it. I think you do have to do what's best for the game, but I'm in a torn mess over the whole thing, because I'm a little disappointed in myself for not seeing it or calling it out or saying something about it. I thought I was better than that. So I'm a little disappointed in myself for not doing that. That's kind of, and I don't want to, bring up touchy subjects with people or whatever, but it's just something that I noticed in this when I was looking at it. And when I heard that, when Joanne said that, I'm like, duh, like, why didn't I see that?
Right.
And it's a privilege thing, and it's horrible.
Well, I think the question becomes really for Juwan was voted out for all intents and purposes for the right reasons. Like, he should have been voted out when he did, because how hard he was playing at the time and making some mistakes and yada, yada, yada. Perhaps MC too. I wonder if, and again, I hope this isn't, I don't think it's insensitive. I don't mean it in an insensitive way. Is there a thing where no matter who's over there, if it's race thing, if it's a gender thing, if it's a occupation thing for lawyers, I don't know, where they start seeing this and they're like, oh my gosh, I can see what's in my mind. I'm seeing what's happening. I'm developing this perception that this is happening. I need to do whatever it takes to make sure it doesn't happen to me, because I might be next, because I relate to them in this very bold area. So I wonder if, is there an overplay on some parts when you see a commonality is for whatever reason being the one that's being voted out back time after time. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I'm almost wondering, it's a complete when you're supposed to slide your car to the not do the opposite side you're swerving, you're supposed to kind of go with the swerve if it's a complete whatever that's called. And I don't know, maybe it is.
I just wanted to address it because I heard it. Alex, any thoughts on that, or should we move on?
I mean, so we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Black or African American people, on the season. None of them were voted out until the merge. Okay. So none of them were voted off pre-merge. They were voted off post-merge. So, I mean, when can they be, I understand it's like in a row, and like, is there a trend there? Is there a reason for that? But I mean, sometimes it's like, everyone's gone before the merge. So when is the right time, and what's the right order? And I don't know. I think that sometimes that type of thinking does end up clouding the gameplay and leading to people's demise, because they're not seeing, hey, there's alliances, these people, they start to think on that level, and that doesn't necessarily serve you. And I think you saw that with, MC's vote, right? She made a big critical mistake. She went against her alliance that was totally with her. It was probably not the right move. Joanne wasn't with her. So you can see how, like, yes, there's that compulsion to do that, but it ended up, going against her. And then, so.
Yeah, it led to what Tatsuyami is trying to say here is there's, and I know I butchered that, I apologize, but we love having you comment. I think MC, that was the downfall of MC on that when she was telling stuff about, I mean, I think that was both of them had some problems with that, and that's why they left. I think you're in it for $1 million. You're gonna try to be as strategic as you possibly can, and that just gets into why I love this show so much, because there's so many different dynamics that come into play, more than just can you outwit, outplay, outlast, but there's a lot to it. And I thought it was really funny, and it was like, to me, one of the best, the best moment from last night's episode was Steven running on the beach saying, I'm a rocket scientist. I can do this. Right. And I could like remember these numbers, 18, 24, or 42, whatever the numbers were. I love that little moment, because it's like, you just reminds you, like, okay, I'm really smart. I can do this. I can't let all these other things, the exhaustion and the running and the pressure and not eating for days and all of these things, like, mess this opportunity up for me.
Can I say this too, is I'm glad that they kind of alluded to what the challenge was kind of going to be by saying it was going to be more strenuous. I thought that was helpful in the way that you're not just sending, like, there, we talked about this the episode where it was the cue ball thing where you had to, if you get the red ball, you're out game, like 2-3 seasons ago, where if like it's just chance and luck and you have no clue what you're going over there, what your skill set is. I love the idea of them giving them a little bit of a hint as to what's going to be, in order for them to kind of make a guided decision, so that I know, okay, this person made the right decision. Steven made the right decision because he could do a challenge like this to make it. Had Christina said, hey, like, I'm going to give this a whirl, that would have been more in my mind like a risk. Like, oh, like, I'm really desperate, even though it's a strenuous activity, and I'm probably one of the least, strength-based people here. That would have been something different. Maybe Riz got the same way, maybe a little bit more of a risk, even though he didn't really need it. So I thought that was very helpful watching the show and helped me decide who's making good decisions. That was cool.
Yeah. Alex, thoughts? No. You're like, okay. Well, I thought the episode was really interesting in different parts, but not that thrilling of an episode. But I think what we saw in this episode is really a setup to the next episode. It's the layup. We're getting into a real, I think, episode, what is it going to be, 12? Episode 12, when we're down to 6, is going to be the turning point episode to where do we go from here. And depending on, I think, really, Soph is going to be more of a deciding factor in this than anything, because not only can she shift the vote, but she can also play her advantage. And is that the right time to play it? Because that Riz is going to be trying to hold on to 5, because that's the last time he can play his idol. So where are we going? Like, where do you think? I think it all comes down to Sophie.
Yeah, so let's start with Sophie and figure out what we think she needs to do to win this game. I think she needs to. I think she still is lacking. If 2 people on the jury are like I need a big move out of you type people, I still think she kind of needs that, and she needs to use this idol that she's had. So I believe, and I believe that move has to be against Savannah or Rizgod, splitting those 2 up in some way, shape, or form. If she does that successfully, she has a great chance of winning this game. So we will see if that's possible. I think that she could win this game with anybody but Savannah and Rizgod at the end, and she may even be able to do that if she pulls off something else. But if she can't utilize that knowledge is power the correct way, I would fear for her game when it comes up against Savannah Rizgod.
I think if Sophie played her cards right, and this is how I would play her cards. She's a lot of cards right now. She has knowledge, and she does have the knowledge is power advantage. She's been in on every vote with the other two, Rizzo and Savannah. So Riz and Savannah, like their games are pretty similar. I do think Riz is a little more persuasive, because Savannah comes off as just harsh and blunt and not very nice. So she's not very well liked, but she is a good player. So I think those two in my book are pretty tied. What put Sophie over the edge on this whole thing is, hey, I knew where to go and where to be and how to maneuver my way through. And when I was given the opportunity to sail above the rest, I took it. I got rid of Savannah. I took Riz's idol. I took Savannah out of the game because I voted her out and I got that pushed through. And that just really, what, in my opinion, say, I played in the position I needed to play in because it carried me through, but it also allowed me to put myself at the striking point where I needed to get rid of these two or to take away their power. And I did that. I got rid of one of them and I took the power away from the other one. And I personally think that would give Sophie a win if she ends up in the final two with Riz. I don't know about Savannah. I think Savannah will just mean mug everybody on the jury. Like, you better vote for me.
Which is what she doesn't have right now. Is we'll get to Savannah here in a second with the wool, but we'll get to her. Alex, your take on Sophie?
It's hard. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I think if she goes with Christina and Sage, if she goes with Steven, I think it'll be competitive. I think she might squeak out a victory because she kind of has a squeaky voice.
Can you do that one? You do accents on our show. Can you do the Sophie squeak?
I don't know if I can. It's just like Minnie Mouse. I'll practice it. Maybe
you're about to try it.
I was. My voice isn't warmed up. It's too early.
I understand.
So the last time Rizzo can use his idol is 5. Knowing Rizzo, he will likely try to keep it till 5. Next vote is 6. But they kind of need it at 6 because they're anticipating they're anticipating actually Steven to block their vote, and Rizzo and Savannah don't know about Sophie's advantage. So they're probably going to try to have to actually play the idol effectively. But Sophie's play should actually be to steal Rizzo's idol.
Yes.
That's an actual move that she needs, because then she can go to the next tribal, play it on herself, and hopefully keep a Savannah or a Rizzo and then eliminate them in a fire making challenge. Something like that. It needs to be really flashy. If she just steals the block of vote and then uses it for Rizzo, she's like simping for Rizzo and Savannah, right? She needs to steal Rizzo's idol, use it on herself to get her into 4, and then hopefully not go home. And that would be a flashy enough play. And I think that would still build the case enough where Savannah and Rizzo, they did do enough during the season, but they kind of just got robbed right there at the end where, that would justify. I mean, they've really been driving the season, eliminating, being on the bottom. And, that's where I see Sophie could really, really win. But that's what she needs to do. She can't just play her idol in advance of Rizzo and Savannah. It needs to be because you also probably see the next one, they probably will put some votes on Sophie. So who's going to win the next immunity challenge? Then it's going to go there's going to be 2 votes 2 ways, right? They're going to put 2 votes on Savannah or 2 votes on Sophie, right? Or 3 votes total. Because if it's Stevens, Christina, and Sage, they're going to put their votes somewhere. And if they also do the block of vote, right? Maybe they split the vote. There is a scenario. What I'm trying to say is there is a scenario where Sophie goes home next tribal, right? If she doesn't play it or she isn't on the right side of the vote, there is a chance that she goes, because if it goes to a stalemate 3-3, which couldn't really happen with Stevens' block of vote. So it's interesting how that could happen. But, we'll see how she decides to play it. But like I said, there is a scenario where she could possibly go home next tribal. I guess everybody could possibly go home, but
I agree with this one that Rizzo has poor jury management because he is a showboat. He's definitely got that. I think Savannah has it too, though. I think both of them are they both have horrible jury management. to be honest with you. But they're just such good players that they're going to get the votes if they're in there. I think Sophie is pretty safe right now, to be honest with you. I think at 6, she's perfectly fine. And I think that it's her time to make a big move. And if she can jump ship and be on the right side of the vote with Steven and Christina to get Savannah out, because I think Savannah is the move to get out, not Riz. And then Sophie comes in and grabs his idol. That will like, I think there's if Sophie turns on Savannah and gets Savannah out, and she steals the idol and makes it to 5, and then that guarantees her in 4, she has a really good shot of being like, I made it better. First of all, I was barely a target this whole time. I knew where to be and how to place myself, where I was on the right side and getting things done and in the decision making, but I was also not in your line of sight for a lot of this game. And I think staying out of the line of sight is really important. Go ahead.
Yeah, though if she is successful, because I do think Savannah wins this game. I think that they have Rizzo on not because he goes to the final 3, but because they need another guy to balance out the guys and girls on season 50. That's where my thoughts are right now. They could change. I think that if Sophie, I think her fear is that if she uses it correctly at 6, what's to save her at 5? Because she voted out Savannah or Rizgod. Now she is better than the other person that was not voted out because she had a great episode. She
stole the idol, and she's got the idol, and she
stole the episode. She wins MVP, and so episode 5, she gets canned by everybody. So I that's where I think it's going to go, which means that if she plays this thing successfully, I think Savannah wins immunity. I think Rizgod gets his idol taken away. They vote out Rizgod. And then she gets voted out at 5 because I think Savannah goes on immunity tear and then goes to 4, and then she wins this game. But I'm excited. I don't know what's going to happen. It's not one of those seasons where it's like here's what's going to happen these next 4, like last season. Here's what's going to happen. Kyle's going to win. I'm excited again, Brie. We're on the same train as we don't want to know who's on season 50. That was, I think, I don't want to say a failed experiment, but it makes it complicated.
This is why it was so bad for them to vote Yellow Sophie out, was she had no alliance. She was not insulated at all. Savannah is an alliance. She's good at immunities. She has advantages. Like, this is why voting off Yellow Sophie is, Sage is, patting herself on the back. Jawan is pumping his fist. Oh my God, we're so smart. It's like, you guys just destroyed, like, Sage is never going to win. I think people don't, really like her that much. And she's not.
Well, no one likes Sophie really that much either. Right. She had no votes on the jury. That's the thing.
And she's bad at arguing.
We keep forgetting about the jury. They're the ones that cast the votes. Yeah. Sophie was not liked by most of the people on the jury. Juwan came in and he was like, she got at Ponderosa and he was like, she voted me out. She's the reason I'm here. Right. And saying all this stuff. I mean, she wasn't winning any votes. So keeping Sophie around was not a bad thing when you have a voting block of 2, which is Riz and Savannah. And Sophie in there. Like, what are you thinking?
They should have canned Savannah. That's why the episode wasn't very good, in my opinion. They should have definitely. There's no reason for her not to be voted out at this past episode. I think also Christina. I think if Savannah is as smart as I think she is that Christina, with her words about saying, no, I don't like you at Tribal Council, that just solidified her position to be in the final 3. Because why would you put her on the jury to give you the money if she just said in front of everybody that I don't like you?
I don't like you. I'm not voting for you, basically.
I think that was, you just won the 0 vote season or final 3 spot. So great job, because it's a little more money than, top 6, 5, or 4. So hats off to Christina.
But you didn't get the Fiji vacation with it. That's the only that's the downside, right?
Yeah, that's true. No Ponderosa for you, girl.
The strategy was better the devil you know than the devil you don't, right? Sophie, a challenge beast and a flipper. Who knew when she'd flip next? I do agree with that. She is a flipper. Not that easy. Yeah, it's a tough one with her, but at least she doesn't have a lot of agency in the game, except for the fact that she can win things, and she is a flipper. So I would rather have, you know,
But if
Sophie than Riz and Savannah are way too strategic and tight.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate on this devil thing. That's redundant. But if the devil, both of them, Riz God and Savannah, are the devils that are gonna win this game. Like, that's what's hard for me to understand. Is I agree, devil you don't, devil you do. I get that. But with 6 players left, when do you stop that strategy and just say, hey, I have to go balls to the walls now and really make a dent in this game?
Well, I think Rizzo did get in Steven's head of like, you should probably save that advantage. Like, I mean, that was the determining factor. Then he told Christina, and then they told Sage was just wanting, like, not even playing.
Yeah.
So that got in his head, and, so.
And I think he can do it again with Steven if they say, hey, like, gets more attention off him and be like, hey, Steven is liked by everybody. He just got that advantage. He still has that. Let's just go for him. And then Riz God's fine at 5, then plays the idol at 5, and then 4. And then if Sophie doesn't do anything about it. So, I mean, there is a situation too where Riz God is able to make it if he somehow sweet talks Steven, and then if Sophie does not play this idol correctly, which we've all said what should happen with it.
But Steven didn't need to play the advantage this week anyway. There wasn't an issue to play it. They obviously had Sophie because she was voting. She did vote for Savannah. So all you have is Christina and Sage, and you should have been. And Christina can't stand Savannah. So if they had been, if Steven would have, I think you're right. Riz did get into his head, at least to shift his voting thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
This was the perfect opportunity to get Savannah out. Yeah. It would have forced Riz to at least play his idol at 6.
Yep.
Because he knows he's next. And then, you would have had Savannah and Riz gone. That opens the game wide up for pretty much everybody.
It opens up multiple. So then it puts Sage in the middle too. Mm-hmm. And it would have put Sage and Sophie in the middle, and you would have had kind of another 3-3 scenario where it could be Sage, Christina, Steven versus Sophie, Yellow Sophie, who's kind of in the middle, Blue Sophie, and Rizzo. Or they could have created a new alliance. But Sage just is like emotional and cooperative. She, the ideal kind of scenario I think would have been bring in Sage, bring in the 2 Sophies. And that's, or bring in Christina and bring in Sage and bring in Blue Sophie. Like, that's a really even tribal. Like, Christina, Sage, and Blue Sophie should have kind of realized that and be like, you know what, we this is the best for all of us, because all of us have played a game under really another person. Yellow Sophie's kind of out there on her own island, like a one-man army type of thing. But all of us have played very close to more powerful players. Sage was with Juwan. Blue Sophie was with Rizzo, and then Christina was with Steven. They're the number 2, and so they need to realize that they're the number 2 of all those alliances and come together.
Yeah, and can I speak on Sophie's timidity real quick? Blue Sophie is that when Jeff asked them, "Hey, could you please do this instructions of this tribal of this immunity challenge the way I would?" And Sophie was very much like, no, like, I'm not doing that. And my fear is that she has that timidity with her knowledge is power. Maybe that's the reason why she's not in season 50 and Savannah is. So I think that's interesting to see if Sophie does play that thing correctly. And then going off your thing about how they need to bring the Sophies together to orchestrate whatever it is, Sophie, if she wanted to make a move, you steal the idol, you play it for Sophie B, you confuse everybody, and you get Riz God out on a 1 vote or 2 vote, because then you could have gone Riz God, Sophie B could have done Savannah, and then they have to decide between Savannah and Riz God at this last challenge. That would have been a fun, maybe top 25 tribal council of all time. So I am a little hesitant and concerned about Sophie's timidity I've seen throughout the game. I do think that she isn't. I saw the comment about Sophie being too weak and small and meager. I can't choose any other weakness words, but we've had some winners. Mermaid Queen or Dragon Mermaid, whatever her name was. She was so.
Kenzie.
Queen Sandra didn't participate in many team challenges either. So
yeah, she was definitely not a challenge beast.
Yeah, I would not go as far to say that Soph doesn't have a chance because the jury doesn't like a physically weak player. That's a little much. That's a little much.
Yeah, I don't think challenges play into anything anymore. Challenge wins.
Except for that, it keeps you in the game.
Right.
Yeah. And you stay immune. I think, there's a little bit of it. I think if you do anything big with it, it just depends. I still think that the chickens are winning. But they are. They're still alive. They've outplayed. Isn't that Sophie said? They've outlasted all of us.
I just love ADHD type comments. That's all.
But no, I think since Blue Sophie or the one that's left, Sophie, I still think that she is smarter than she alludes to. I think she'd be actually pretty good at Final Tribal, stating her case if she makes the right moves and does the right things coming into these next 2 votes, right? So it really will come down to because she still hasn't told anybody about her advantage, not even Savannah and Riz. I think that's an important factor. We can't overlook the fact that as much as she says she's with them, she might not be. And she could, effectively use that at the end. Steals the idol, gets Savannah voted out. Those 2 could feel like they got the game stolen from them, which is, I know Savannah's probably going to win this, but it would feel like they've been robbed, and Sophie was this like silent sniper coming in to kind of like get it done when it counted, make sure she did those things. I think that shows a really intellectual player that's what people are rooting for. If she's like, hey, I kept my mouth shut this whole time, I played this just right, I knew when to strike, when to get things done, how to get myself in the best possible position, and I never pissed off anybody on the jury.
You're exactly right. And if we did not know what's happening in season 50 and who's going back, I would be talking that game completely. But I think my question is why
she screws it up somewhere.
I know. Why Sophie over Savannah? If this was any other season, that's the question that's on my mind more than anything else. I can't wait to figure out what it is that sends Sophie home.
Yeah. It might be fire making. You never know. I think they will take her because they don't see her as a threat. And if they don't know anything about her advantage, she's got to play it if she wants to make her mark.
Does she get it till 5 or can she only play it next episode? When does that die off?
I think all of them end at 5.
Do they? Okay. So then, that would be smart. If she plays that and does it successfully with 5 people, then of course they send her to fire because she's not winning that challenge. And then she's off, making fire maybe against Steven or maybe Christina and her. I don't know who's making fire. Maybe Riz Scott. I don't know. But that makes sense.
We got to think too, she pretty much has a guarantee almost to 3. If they can get either Savannah, if they can either get Steven, Christina, or Sage out, if they get one of those people out, first spot in the final 3 is kind of guaranteed. Because Rizzo and Savannah want to take her. If it's Christina and Steven, they want to take her.
Mm-hmm.
There is some prize money if you get second place or if you get to the jury type of thing. So maybe it's like a wager on her part. It's like, I just need to get to the final 3. I'm not reading the comments. Why are you laughing so hard?
It's the comments.
I'm having education. I was wondering why.
Bring the comments back up, Bree, and read them.
I'm not reading them, but I'll bring them back up.
My
there's
knowledge.
A question on when the knowledge is power ends. It's a typo. It's a typo.
My knowledge ends about that time too.
Yes, I know nothing after 6.
I just stopped thinking completely.
I know. I just like that's okay. It was funny. Everybody really enjoyed it. I don't know. We have to look into that now. So somebody better Google that fact and find out for us. I was assuming it ended at 5. Why would it end at a random different number? I thought all advantages pretty much ended at 5. But
Alex,
I don't have the paper.
Can you re-say what you said before I just developed a potty brain?
I was saying that Blue Sophie basically has a guarantee going to final tribal with 3 people. Mm-hmm. If they can get either Sage, Christina, or Steven out, they get one of those 3. Well, Steven and Christina want to take Blue Sophie. Rizzo and Savannah want to take Blue Sophie. She basically has a guarantee into the final 3 if she gets one of those people out. And so maybe it's in her interest to actually get somebody like Christina, Steven, or Sage out at the next one. Yep. Then she's going to the final 3 no matter what.
By the way,
and then she just makes her big play at 5 as this, hey, I was with Rizzo and Savannah the whole time. I had this advantage. I stole Rizzo's idol. I voted Rizzo out. That's her big move to try to overtake Savannah. And maybe the jury just doesn't like Savannah enough where they say, you know what, let's give it to Blue Sophie. Savannah goes to the end and maybe she's perceived as the winner, but she doesn't actually win. She's perceived as the potential winner in the eyes of the audience, but everybody wants Blue Sophie to win. Mm-hmm. And she's got a really nice personality. I mean, she's got a big smile. Yep. She's not very good at arguing, but I think Savannah might just attack people on the jury. Like Brie was saying, just mean mug them, attack them. She's so combative. Everything it's like this combative, like not charming, like a journal, like a journalist. Like people don't like that kind of prying, they don't have the best reputation usually, right?
Yeah, well, I think it's interesting. I think it's going to go Riz. Do we find out if it's 6 or 5?
It is 6.
It is 6. Okay,
she has to use it next time.
And I think that's what I think her downfall is, either one of 2 things: timidity and plays it wrong because she can't turn on the devil she knows and that strategy and whatever, or she gets out Riz God on this next vote. She goes out at 5 because she's now seen as the top threat because Savannah just got immunity at 5, and now there's 4. There's Christina, Steven, Savannah, and Sage. Sage can't win because she didn't get out Savannah. Maybe even Sage wins immunity there, and she tries one more time to get Savannah out at fire making. She can't do it. Savannah wins fire making and then wins everything, because how can you take on somebody who's won that many immunity challenges, successfully played idol, controlled the game? I think that's what it is the rest of the season.
Savannah versus Steven in the final. Who wins?
Savannah and Steven?
Savannah.
Only
that Savannah wins.
Steven's the relational guy. Like, I get that part, Alex. And I think that he does get a vote from a couple people because of that. But I think that Savannah gets more votes because Riz God's now there. So Blue Sophie's now there at the jury. She's talking up game with everybody. I think Marvel joins Savannah because he's interested in the better gameplay. So I think that it could be a closer vote. Maybe a 5-2 or 4-3, whatever, how many votes there are, type split, with Christina getting 0.
Yeah. Got a lot of comments today. Everybody's hopping it up. I love it in there with that jury. I fear Steven. Yeah, I do think Steven does have that relationship built with the jury. I don't think anybody's really mad at him. Plus, he looks like Ryan Reynolds, so how could you be mad at him? And I think that the knowledge is power can't be used because Steven plays that advantage before he goes to tribal. And so it's already been played. It's already in motion. I mean, he has to say, I'm going, because he had the opportunity to play it last night. He didn't play it. So he still has the advantage. So he has to play it if he's going to play it before he leaves. That point, that advantage has already been played. So Sophie can't grab it. Now, she doesn't know that. So the question will be, if she tips her hand and tries to steal Steven's vote at that point, or his advantage at that point, then she becomes a target, doesn't have the protection of the idol, but she doesn't know the whole scenario of it, right? She thinks, hey, he has an advantage. I'm going to steal it. That's when I'm going to use this knowledge as power and grab it from him. but it's already been played, so he can't. So, or she can't. So then she doesn't have the opportunity to steal Riz's at that point, and now she's screwed because now she just put herself as a big target. I don't know what's going to happen. It depends on who she. I mean, if she's smart, she plays it on Riz and steals his idol.
What if they think that Steven has a knowledge power advantage in the game?
They think they're pretty certain he has
steal a
vote.
Okay.
Which he would then use at tribal.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
there's only been one other advantage that I can think of that was played prior to tribal, and that was the Saul to Rachel one where he kept her from going to tribal, or right, well, he rescued her from, and he played it before.
Yeah, I don't think he plays it correctly, because now I start asking the question, okay, why Riz God, not Steven, for season 50? Because Steven has a story where he was down and out. He's kind of David from David and Goliath story of I'm meager, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm just a scientist, and then totally does this 360 and wins the game. So that's my realm of thinking. I don't think he plays this block of vote very well, if at all. My opinion.
If the season ends today, the final three is Savannah, Riz, and Blue Sophie. Who wins? So Savannah.
Yeah, based on the fact that means that Blue Sophie did not do knowledge is power correctly. She had this big secret and she used it wrong. I wouldn't vote for her. So then you have Rizzo.
He hasn't played it yet, so it ends. If it ends today.
See, and that's why I think that Rizzo doesn't go on to the final two, because I see Rizzo having a good chance against Savannah at the end of this game.
It would be close. I mean, Rizzo could be kind of compared to like a Ferris, because Ferris was faking the idol. Ferris went on to win Australian Survivor. Spoiler.
It'd be interesting to see if Riz God's playing. That's a great point. If Riz God's playing his game like a Ferris, that's cool.
Yeah, big, smile theory. Rizzo has the biggest smile I think maybe ever on Survivor.
Right.
So big smile, salesman. He does have good relationships with people, way better than Savannah. I mean, you looked at him when he was eating his spaghetti, with Steven and Christina. He was able to kind of be like, hey, Steven, this is, and he's able to kind of explain things. He's a salesman, right? So he is able to kind of explain things to people in a logical way. They don't hate him like they do Savannah, but they do have this like obsession. Oh, Savannah's the biggest threat. She is a more of a challenge threat than Steven, but that doesn't play in. If she wins the next two immunities, the last three, the thing is, will Savannah and Rizzo eventually turn on each other? You didn't see it in a preview for the next episode, but at 4, are they going to say, you know what? We've played too similar of games. We need to get each other out. And I do think both of them are confident enough to, 1, want to do that, and then 2, know that they'll beat, think that they'll beat Steven. I don't know if it's a foregone conclusion if Steven would lose, because you've seen it before on Survivor. The person who's disliked doesn't win, and the person who maybe played the worst game wins because they're just more likable and they had better relationships, the jury management part, right? So
I have thoughts on it.
What are your thoughts on it, Bree?
Well, I have thoughts on it because what Alex just said about, we didn't see that in the previews. I kind of think that like maybe Survivor, maybe Jeff has been hearing some people talking about how we don't like, I'm not the only one saying it. A lot of people are saying we don't like to know who the players are that are going to be in 50. It's really given us it's kind of messed up this season. So maybe there are things coming up in the next episode that are going to blindside the viewers, because we need a good blindside for us, because you've told us too much about the season already, Jeff. And so we need a little blindside. So maybe something's coming that we won't see happening, and Savannah or Riz do go home on the next vote.
Mm-hmm. It would be weird if they both are in final tribal and they told us who these people are beforehand. That just seems, or maybe it's cause. I mean, I guess the fun part, if you want to have fun with the season, you got to ask yourself the questions: why this person, not this person? That's the only way I'm finding enjoyment out of this, besides being just frustrated and peeved off at Jeff with that decision. So I love when they experiment on this kind of thing. I don't know if this one worked. Yeah, good call. I don't know what I just said.
Yeah. Well, we got to wrap things up. Who's going home next week? Last chance for our final picks of this week, and then we got to say goodbye. So, Alex, you go first.
Wishful thinking. I hope Sage. I'm sick of this girl. Get her off. She's annoying.
She is.
Go count your black cat. Now I'm just bullying her. I'm sorry.
you're
Okay. I took it over the top. Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Brandon?
Hopefully Sage.
Again, based on, I got to stick with my opinion, and that is Riz God goes home. I'm going to ride that prediction.
I have to agree with you. I do think that we're going to see Riz go home. I think it's going to be a blindside. I hope it's a blindside to me because I don't like knowing all the stuff that I know about. I think Savannah turns, and I don't know. I think something big is going to happen. Something's coming. And I really hope that it is Riz that meets his demise in this next episode and stirs things up on the jury even a little bit, because I think he'd be powerful over on the jury. And I think Savannah, if she's smart, will recognize the fact that she's got to start building her jury out a little bit. And putting Riz there to speak her case would be a very smart move.
Christina is there the rest of the season. She stays.
100%. All right, we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for hanging out with us. Awesome chat today. I love the chat. It's been so active and giving us so much stuff. So we appreciate all of you, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
6.